Hey, are we on? Hey, everybody. It's Zazoo. Leslie Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz. March 24th, 2025. Here for the weekly Zazoo Plazz report. Mercury's in retrograde. There's a whole bunch of energy going on. My kid came to visit me yesterday. Anyway, it's Aries season. Not the Aries, the Virgo came to visit me. So I'll get into that. But yeah, a lot of my neighbor upstairs, Squeaky, moved out on Saturday, and I'm trying to come to terms with the quiet. It's very quiet. I'm not used to it. His dad came. His dad and his brother came with the U-Haul, and I'm waking up Saturday morning. I'm like, what the hell's all that banging? I'm like, bang, bang, bang. And I look out, and all the furniture's already in the truck. Gen X dad, made quick work of it. Like, wow, what a smooth operation. That kid was out of here before I even knew. And then I thought, did I send him out? He was in the biggest hurry to get out of here for some reason, and I couldn't help but think, after he was gone, I thought, oh, I kind of miss him. And I wonder why he was in such a hurry to leave. Anyway, yeah. So there's that. Third Sunday inlet. Okay, so there's a lot going on this week. Let's see, what have I got? Oh, I just got my regular stripe. I wanted to put out the St. Patty's Day candles, the little, the ones with the little switch that I had last week, but they died. So they must have been magic St. Patty's candles that only work on St. Patrick's Day because I can't get them to work now. So, yeah, I guess I'll have to be taking down the decorations and putting up the Easter stuff because it's going to be. Well, Easter's not till later. It's the April 20th, I think, this year. So yeah, so there's the family stuff. Okay, okay. This is how we work, folks. I catch you up on all the happenings in Zazoo Plazz land. And if you follow me over on Facebook, um, you know, I wrote the book, right? The book started everything, and there will be more books. But I realized, so what it is, Zazoo is my alter ego. And I, she comes with me on my adventures. I'm the story. I'm the series, right? It started with the book, which I realized defines certain themes. And, I show up in many ways. I show up here on YouTube in a completely different way. I don't really do reels like the other creators do on Facebook. Some creators who are great, and I follow them, they show up kind of the same on, the different platforms, whatever their shtick is. Me, the me you're going to see on Facebook is different than the me you're going to see on YouTube. Here I show up in person because I like to do long videos and I find it hard to express myself in short verbal bursts. Sometimes I do little outside things. But for the most part, I like to do little reels on Facebook. I like to play with words and do little puns, tell stories. I'm more of a writer. But I like to show up here on YouTube, and I realized I'm going to keep doing this. There's all these, and I got a rant, just a warning. There's a rant coming up. It's Aries season. I have something on my chest to get off. Anyway, yeah, so, I find like these book publicity, AI things popping up, and it's just a million things out there. Oh, we're gonna, and they show these people with their heads like this. Oh, I'm gonna sell my book. Your book will never be seen by anybody, it says. you've got to go with us, and we've got the AI, and we'll get your book out there, and everything will be, you know. And then there's these, comments, and I said, "Oh, thank you. My book is selling so many copies a day," and I, blah, 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 blah. No, not for me, because I've gone beyond that. You see, folks, I'm not just about selling books, and if you get hung up on that, and it cuts you off creatively, I'm the marketing for this book. This book is me. I am my own creation. See, this is an Aries theme that we're going to get into today. I want to get this off my chest because Aries, it's the ram, right? It's like Conan O'Brien. Congrats to him on winning the Mark Twain Prize because I'm the biggest Mark Twain fan. I live in Hartford, well, just outside of Hartford. I've read all his books. My grandmother gave me, a collection from like 1900, early 1900s of the whole Mark Twain collection. I think my kid still has. My youngest son has the Connecticut Yankee book, but foolishly, I gave them away to the library in town years ago, and I kept a couple. The Connecticut Yankee being one of them, but I wish I could get them back. Funny thing though, I was in a bookstore. Oh, I'm getting way off track. But I was in a bookstore in West Hartford, near Blueback Square, if anybody knows Connecticut. I had dropped my dad off for an eye appointment last fall, and I had some time to kill. So I strolled down the street, nice place, West Hartford Center, and I ended up in this bookstore with this random woman who's Gen X. She was running some kind of a program for kids, to give them work experience. Certain kids who needed to get some work experience, she had them come in and work the bookstore, and it was like a secondhand book. And there in front of me was the entire series of the Mark Twain, the exact editions of the Mark Twain books that I had given away, that my grandmother, the one who was born in a sad house in South Dakota in 1902, had given me, that I foolishly gave away, appearing in front of me. And I started talking to the woman. I said, I'm an author. And I told her about my book. And, she said, "Oh, go, give me your card." And, so we exchanged information. And she said, "I'll give these to you. If you want them, I will." She said, I just want to get them off my shelf. She said, older couple, some people came in here and they said they were clearing out their parents' estate. And these books were there. And, you know, so I did one of those because sometimes nothing happens by accident, folks. And I have a million of those stories, but I just want to get that off my chest. So I said, you know what? I got to go pick up my dad because he couldn't drive because he just had his eye, um, he had pressure let out of his eye, because he was taking drops and then he needed to, so he had both eyes done and now he can see great. But it's something that he's been dealing with for many years. But so I said, I can't really make this decision right now. So I took her card and went back, and then my dad wasn't there, and I had to go look for him. He had left. He left, took off from the doctor's office. He's wandering around the building, like, where is he? Half an hour later, he shows up. He says, "Where were you? You were supposed to meet me up there." I said, "I went up there and you weren't there." He said, "Oh, I went down to the car." Help me, Lord. All right. And even of you Gen Xers out there, we're in the middle, right? We're dealing. So we got the kid. All right. So back to my story. Okay. So yeah, my kid comes to visit me. It was his dad's, hi there. Happy birthday. My former spouse, his birthday. Good GP. His birthday was the 19th. So the boys went to have a nice dinner with their dad on Friday. My oldest son came up from New Haven. He made pizza. He's trying to eat healthy. He's trying to avoid carbs and sugars and stuff. So, which is, he's good. He's trying to eat healthy, so he made pizza, I guess, and but he did bring the cake, you know. And to his credit, he went to the store and picked out the cake, and it had like a big. He's turning 58, so he had the big 58. Somehow he got a big sign at the party store. Some parties. He found this. Well, he went to the mall, which has nothing in it anymore. It used to be Sears. It's Macy's, and it's a ghost town. But he finds this dollar. He said it's $1.25 store, Mom. He finds it in the mall. And so he got a big sign that says 58, and he got cards and everything. And he was in, all the party supplies. He was so proud of himself. And so, he had cake. And then he came yesterday morning, Sunday morning. That's why I didn't do my report yesterday. I had to rest. I had to catch up on my sleep because I was up like 24 hours. So he comes in and he brought me some. So yeah, so he's trying to eat healthy. What was the thing I was going to say about him eating healthy? Um, yeah, so he was after his brother because his my younger son, he's putting ranch dressing all over his pizza, and then he looks up and my older son's he's eating salad, and he said, "Oh, can I have some salad?" It's like, were you really going to eat salad, or do you just feel guilty because I'm eating a lot of salad? Or his brother shamed him into having salad with his ranch dressing. I said, that's probably me because I always eat ranch dressing with my pizza. But I do eat salad on the side. So, yeah, eventually your kids come around, even if they eat junk, they get to their almost mid 20s and they're like, oh, shoot, I got to eat better. So it happens, parents. So hang in there, okay? So, he comes in, my older son, he comes in, he brought me some of his homemade chicken broth and a little like blueberry oat muffin that he had made and put in the freezer. He brought that was it was so cute because he had wrapped it up in foil. He had the little muffin cup in there, and it was just so cute. And then he comes, he sees that I'm having all this Pisces, all this water, right? I have this water filter thing that I attach to my faucet, and the thing just blew a gasket. I don't know, it just started splurting everywhere. So I ordered some refill for it's like a stainless steel thing. You screw it on and you turn the little knob, you know, and so it's splurting everywhere. So I got towels and I put a rubber band on the thing. I MacGyvered it. So I had it working just right. And the kid goes, he says, "What's this?" And he goes, "Whoop." he, he breaks the thing right off the faucet. I don't know how he did it, but he just touched it and it went whoop. And all of my hard work calibrating it just perfectly, just so I could cobble it together to get a little filtered water from my tea, wiped out in one fell swoop. This is the kid, Pluto and Sag and Moon and Sag. He's about as subtle, he's blunt, and he just, does things. So, so I said, well, that settles that because I was wondering if I was going to continue to use that type of filter, or if I was just going to get like one of those um, pictures. He's like, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know." So you can move out, folks. You can say that you started all over, but you're still a mom. You're still a parent. It never ends. It never ends. They will find you. They will hunt you down and they will break your water filters. He said, "Mom, you got to get one of those that you put in the fridge and you can like push the little button and the water comes in. But then you got to get all these like filters." So he comes, he breaks my water filters, he gives me a muffin, and then he takes off. Anyway, it was nice to visit because, I gave him a big hug. I love my kids. Can you tell? I love both of them. He was telling me how he can't wait, So we're going to celebrate his brother's birthday in mid-April. And then 2 days later, he takes off for Italy to go see his girlfriend. They're going to be in Rome. They're going to see they're going to be in Rome on Good Friday, which will be quite an experience. And they're going to see all these museums and, probably go to the Vatican. Um, uh, Glad to hear that the Pope is feeling better. And so they're going to be doing that. And he said, well, I don't think on Easter we're going to be there. We're going to, they're going to go to different places in Italy. She's, I think, up near Venice somewhere studying. But so, yeah, they've got that. And then he's going to come back in May in time, 2 days before his brother graduates from UConn. So we're all going to, he's going to miss Easter with us here, but then we'll see him, for graduation. We're all going to go up to UConn, and who knows how many of us can. It's going to be the School of Agriculture over in Campbell Pavilion, all of us crammed in there. So that should be good. So anyway, gotta get to the Bible. Zazoo, you're going over, okay? Aries season, okay. So I talked about all that stuff. Conan O'Brien, getting to Mark Twain Award. That's cool. Third Sunday in Lent. So yeah. So the curiosity. There's a lot of Aries energy. Plus there's Pisces. It's sort of all bunched up. In Aries, Pisces, end of Pisces, beginning of Aries. Aries is 0 point, the zodiac. It's the start of the new zodiac year, okay, which ends, at the spring equinox. That's when it starts all over again, the wheel, right? So, beginning of Aries. Aries is, the ram, which rhymes with I am. I am. Henry VIII, I am. Okay. It's Popeye the Sailor. I am. Okay. Anyway. Um, yeah. So we're in Moses. We start off with Moses in Exodus, tending sheep in the desert, and it all ties together so well. He's near Horeb, which is the Ten Commandments mountain. So he said, and if you pay attention, okay, this is God trying to get his attention. And we're all so distracted lately. It took a burning bush to get Moses he's watching all the sheep going all over the place. It's like that kind of energy. You're watching the sheep. The sheep are here, everything. You're on, scrolling on your God says, look at the burning bush. Pay attention to one thing for 1 minute. So this is Aries, right? This is fire. This is, the pioneer, the courageous, this is my kid, the Aries who puts out, matches with his fingers from the time he was a little, not a little kid, but he started doing it like in, middle school, high school. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? Isn't he going to get hurt? I mean, you go, and me, I couldn't light the darn match. With all my water, his dad and I could barely figure out, well, his dad more than me, but I couldn't light matches for the longest time. They'd keep going out. I'd be like, psh, psh. But no, this kid, psh, he walks into a room, something bursts into flames. He's a firefighter. He goes out, he puts out fires, and then he thinks about things later. He acts first, thinks later. So there's Moses. He sees an angel in the burning bush. But the bush is not being consumed. It's not burning. He's like, oh. So Aries, get curious, but go over and check it out, right? And then he realizes it's sacred ground. He's like, wow, there's angels here. He feels, and then he hides himself because he realizes he's, oh, I'm not worthy. It's that whole, and then it's like Aries is the child. It's your identity. You go out and who am I? It's like me going out to Arizona. 2022, I went out to Tucson on a whim, you know, and just because it was Aries time, and then after you get out of that, but out of the gate, you're like a horse, like, so yeah. So it says, God said, I heard my people crying in the desert, and I wanted to lead them out, from where they were enslaved to a place of milk flowing with milk and honey, right? He said, well, okay, Moses said, but who's going to tell them? Who shall I say sent me when I say, you got to do that, How do, he said, God said, say, I am who am. I am. So, you know, um, I am. It's like Aries is, it's like when you're born, right? And you see a baby, it's like, who am I? What spirit, comes into the new baby, the soul comes into the body, and it's like, the baby is everything. It's like, oh, wow. And then it discovers its hands and its feet, and then it says, who am I? It starts to kind of, before it even looks around, you see a newborn baby, it's fascinated with itself and what it can do. Oh, I can put things in my mouth. I can, I can feed. I cry and people feed me, and I can, and then it's, oh, I can go out and crawl around, and then you got to look out, right? Because that baby's not going to, that kid, I had to watch him like a hawk because he would go off and, jump in the pool and I'd have to go fish him out. So, yeah, so it's a news cycle. They're fearless Aries. They'll say things and do things and not really think about it. So let's see. The Lord is kind and merciful. God. It's about God pardoning us, having justice for the oppressed, slow to anger, which is kind of the opposite of Aries, because Aries are quick to anger. They're inflamed, they're impatient, right? So God is, we're talking about this balance of being kind. Aries aren't always kind, or they want to do what they want to do. So the Lord is kind of like the opposite of that, justice. Um, Libra is at the other end of Aries. So, but God forgives this. God knows that we're children. When we start out spiritually, we're children. We're like that. And then we mature spiritually. We get, we're like God, that's our natural state, connected to the divine, right? So, yeah, I said all this. So, yeah, Aries are leaders. They're loyal. But then there's these desires, I want this, that's kind of the lower Aries. I want that. I'm going to go get that, not too much going on as far as planning. So Paul in the First Corinthians, I have time. Uh, he said our ancestors, he's talking after, in the time of Jesus, or just after. He's talking about the core people of Corinth. He's writing a letter. He's saying the ancestors were under a cloud. They passed through the sea, right? So this is even applying to us now, talking about the age of Pisces that has passed, right? Through the sea, that's Pisces, the big abyss. It's like the ocean, right? The mist, the clouds and the rain and the mist is Pisces, right? You can't see where you're going. So it's kind of like that. The ancestors, you know, um, they they weren't conscious. They weren't aware, and they, sank too low into the sensual nature of the earth. Their desires. In other words, the devil got them. The devil is their most lower, you know, instincts. In other words, forgetting that we're all connected and we're all one, right? In spirit and source, where we all came from. So, they were struck down in the desert to make an example for us. Not that those people were any worse or better, than us. He's just saying he used them as example, like a warning, right? This is, this is what not to do. So they all went back into the sea of nothingness, apparently. They were used to make, you know, an example. All right. So yeah, speed it up, Zazoo. Okay. All right. So we talked about. Okay. So yeah, Kingdom of Heaven is at hand. Okay. Gospel of Luke. they talk about a tower of Siloam. 18 people died. So that reminds me of the tower in the tarot, right? Almost like Uranus moment. Um, Something about Pilate mingling the blood of the Galileans with the blood of the saint. I don't know. That part I'm not too sure about. But it's the same thing. These people, this tower felt they were an example, right? When you have a tower moment, it's something happens suddenly and it changes everything, and eventually for the better because you learn from it, right? So, but the thing is, with the tower moment, if you don't, it's unexpected, right? It starts changes, but if you don't act, the universe will act for you. The universe will get things in motion for you unless if you don't do it yourself. So that's why there are these warnings, say, take heed. So there's the parable of the fig tree this week. Um, the owner of this orchard, he's got this fig tree and it's not doing anything, right? You've got something, a project, it's not bearing fruit, right? And, the impatient, he tells the gardener, cut it down. Does this sound familiar, folks? I'm going to be real subtle now. Can you think of anybody in modern day that wants to cut everything down if it's not working? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Um, okay, so the gardener says, "Hold on," to the owner, because the owner is bossing everybody around. The gardener says, "Hold on. Before we cut it down," he said, "I'm going to fertilize it, cultivate it, work around it. And, if in the future it doesn't bear fruit, then we'll get rid of it." So he's, okay, it's in the Bible. Okay, so anyway, fig trees, apparently the ancient Greeks really, uh, they like their fig trees. They use them, um, if winners would get fig trees as, it's an honor, symbolizing wisdom, success, and abundance. So fig trees are good. Figs are good. Um, See, and there's the Aries impatience again. They like to win, right? There's that fire. They get frustrated waiting. So this guy is typical Aries. Get rid of it, cut it down, just off with their heads. Um, oh, good. So, yeah. So I said, all right. So the song, real quickly, because it's just perfect. Uh, it came to me. Here I am. Brian Adams. Now this one was from 2002. Apparently, it was in a movie called animated kids movie called Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Cimarron. Now, our oldest son was only about a year and a half then, so he was too young to go see that movie, which is why I've never heard of it. Um, but Brian Adams recorded the song for that movie and a bunch of other songs for that animated movie, which is really cool. Um, it kind of moving. It's very moving. Um, so Wild Stallions, yeah. Um, it was released. This song though was released for the movie June 24th, 2002. And re-released, there's another video. So there's one video that came out at that time. And I couldn't find it on YouTube. I finally found it on Facebook. So I'll post the link down below if you want to watch it because it's not on YouTube. It's a great video. The song, so the song was released, like I said, for the movie. And so the song itself went to number one in Portugal, Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, and got to number 5 in the UK and the US on the adult Billboard. I'm going to run over and I'm going to have to back with it. I'm just going to keep going. Um, I have more to say this week. So yeah, so I guess I want to say a few more things. It's going to run over, but I'm going to keep going. Yeah, so the video, there's 2 videos, all right. It was released, the first one, Brian Adams did in a Hollywood studio on a green screen. It was just him, and then the background was like aerial footage of the Monument Valley in Utah. And the horses were from a ranch in Santa Clarita, California. Okay, 3 minutes and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Just a couple more minutes this week. All right. So yeah, the horses were at a ranch. So they superimposed, Brian Adams and this girl. They come out looking like giants, walking through this desert. It's perfect. Um, so they're trying to survive. They're thirsty. There's snakes. It's perfect. It fits with the Bible readings. And the wild horses are. Um, so it goes along with the Spirit movie. I guess there's these, this wild stallion. They try to, you know, and they try to break him. People are constantly trying to, cage him in and fence him in and break his spirit. And he almost gets broken, but not quite. He keeps getting out. And you want to see the movie. In other words, even in captivity, he can't be broken. So I think this is a beautiful message for right now. It's a beautiful uh, thing for us to remember is no matter what, nobody can break your spirit without your consent. And, of course, there's a happy ending. Unlike the movies that we Gen Xers grew up with, where a lot of times there wasn't a happy ending with animal movies, especially animated ones. Um, so this is nice. But there's also there's a Lakota Native American, in, American Indian, in the movie, and it's funny that I stumbled across this now because I'm reading this great book by Ken Carey, Return of the Bird Tribes. Yeah, great, and it has to do with stories of it's a Native American spirituality, U.S. So that's definitely recommend that book. It's very inspiring, and it all fits together. So I only have so much time here, but I always see something in everything. So I just thought I'd leave that there. And I said, why do we never see this movie? It was Memorial Day 2002. It came out. I think that was the summer that my husband's aunt died, and we had all these people. And it was around May or June, I think. Yeah, and we didn't have our second son yet. It was just after that, I think. Yeah, because that fall and winter I was pregnant with our second son. So yeah, so there's that. So I leave that for your consideration, and I'm gonna put. Oh, the other thing is, there were two videos. There was that original one, and I'll put the link. And there's another. They did another video with just him and the band playing it in 2000, 3 years ago, 2000, 2022. So there's that, and I'll see if I can find a little clip from the movie to put in. Just a lot of good stuff to talk about this week. So, but I'm really hungry. So, yeah, I had that muffin that he gave me, and that was a few hours ago. So I gotta go have a snack, have my paleo hot chocolate. Um, yeah, so that's it for this week. And so take care, and I'll see you next week, same place, different time. Take care.